Hey everybody, originally I wrote out this like massively long script. I don't actually know how long because it's on paper, as you can hear. But instead of doing that, and especially since I wrote this script when I was really just frustrated with the game, and now that I've had time to cool down, I feel like now's a better time to record this. So I'm just gonna do that, I guess. So, Temtem. It blew up really hard out of nowhere. I hadn't heard anything about it, and then suddenly I saw some YouTubers that I liked watching play it. I was like, oh, that's really cool. So I spent $37 or so on it, because tax, yay. And now I didn't like it. In all honesty, I could not get into it. And there are plenty of good aspects about it. I'm not going to rag on the people who said, oh, it's a good game. I understand why they think that, but they're wrong, and here's why. So Temtem was developed by a video game company based in Madrid called Crema, and their previous game was an FPS roguelike game called Immortal Redneck. And if there's anything that isn't even close to being each other, is an FPS roguelike is a turn-based RPG. Those aren't even close to each other. So that's one issue. They have, like, no experience with this whatsoever. Like, almost no proper experience building a game. Now, in my personal opinion, their art style blew me away. There's fluid animations, everything. Like, I was genuinely impressed with how the world looked, how smooth it ran whenever I played. I played a week after launch, so most of the issues other people were having when they went in, I didn't have as bad. I had a few times where my game froze in the middle of a battle, and I'd have to restart the game, and then I'd be either in the battle again, or I'd be like a while before it. It was weird. Sometimes it saved correctly, other times it didn't, and there's no like save button, I don't believe. So that's an issue. So I'm kind of using the frustrated notes I wrote as like a guide throughout this video. I don't know how long it's gonna be, and my mic might actually die before I finish recording this, so that's really fun. I am gonna do what my notes said and break this down into a little bit of like how I felt throughout my time playing it. So my first 2 hours was incredible. I was amazed. I couldn't believe how similar it was to Pokemon, but also divergent enough to where it felt like a fresh new game. I stopped playing Pokemon after Alpha Sapphire, so I did have a little break. So the similarities didn't bug me as bad as they would someone who continued to play Pokemon, got even more frustrated, and then switched to Temtem thinking it was a Pokemon killer. It's not. It isn't. It's not good enough. And some of the issues I have with it can be fixed through future updates, but some of them are like really hard baked into the code, and some of the issues they've refused to fix, so that's a part of it. But anyways, anywho, whatever, don't care. So, first 2 hours, it was amazing. I enjoyed it. It was fluid. There were like these little side quests. I was like, oh my god, that's so cool. I wish Pokemon had better side quests. Wow. But then after that, I was like, why do I have to heal myself after every other battle, including wild battles? Why is grinding so hard? And not in the fun way, like on your significant other. And the answer is, because fuck you, levels mean almost nothing in this game. Like, it is so goddamn frustrating how there can be wild creatures that can kick the shit out of you if you aren't really paying attention when they're like 5 levels under you. 5. I get there should be a balance. I get that levels shouldn't mean everything, but they should also mean more than nothing, in my personal opinion. And that's what I kind of started running into, like, after the first 2 hours. I was like, I have to constantly run back and heal. Why do I have to do this? This is absolutely frustrating. And I came to the realization that it felt like a lot of the choices they made were just to pad out the game since it wasn't finished yet. That way people, didn't return it straight away, which I tried to do. Last time I checked, Steam had like a 10-hour rule, and they dropped it to 2 hours, so that kind of screwed me. But, oh well. I did like the difficulty at first. It was like, oh wow, it's so crazy how you actually have to think about what you're doing a bit better. There's a little bit of strategy with double battles. I constantly use the strategy of putting one creature to sleep using my Paharik or Grandpa. God, that is an ugly Temtem. I might put a picture of it on screen. It is horrid. It's supposed to be a bird. Birds are cute, damn it. Anyway, evolutions didn't feel like they did anything. Leveling didn't feel like it really did anything. I was constantly just running back to the random stations to heal. It just felt like padding. It just felt frustrating. It felt like they've never designed a game like this. Which, spoiler alert, they haven't. So, why did they think this was a good idea? Most of the reviews online are just like, oh, it's in early access. It's so much more interesting than Pokemon. Oh, it's the best game ever. Oh my god, it's the Pokemon killer, Temtem. First of all, Temtem is the dumbest name ever. Second of all, Temtem Up is the most hilarious meme ever. Just randomly walking in like a room and telling my roommates to Temtem Up. That was really funny for about a day, but it's not a good name. A lot of the writing is really cringy. A lot of the story beats are just copy-paste Pokemon formula. Oh, you are in small town. Oh, you have to beat these leaders. Oh, you move on, and oh, there are bad people who you have to fight. Why can't you spice that up a little bit? Why the fuck not? Why would you want to spice that up? Why would you want to spice up the formula that's been getting Game Freak buku bucks? Who's heard of Immortal Redneck before they've heard of Temtem? I googled it. The only people who bring up Immortal Redneck are people bringing up Temtem as like, oh, the Immortal Redneck creators made this game. No one gives a shit about Immortal Redneck, and it feels like they were really bummed out about it and decided, people are pissed off at Pokemon. Maybe we should make a Pokemon game. There was definitely very high effort put into this game. Like, a lot. But it just feels like the people pulling the strings were just like, people like Pokemon, right? Let's just do one of those. It shouldn't be too hard, right? And I think my biggest issue with Temtem, outside of it feeling mildly like a cash grab and mildly like, it's just weird, because parts of it feel like it was a passion project, and people really cared about it, and then other parts feel like, let's pet for time so they can't refund it. My biggest issue is it just feels like it wasn't designed by someone who's even properly played Pokemon. Like, some of the features just don't feel right. Like, you know how whenever you go somewhere and you can't leave it without progressing forward, that a lot of the time that feels like a soft lock, or it feels like you did something wrong? Well, imagine my surprise when, before I caught a single water Temtem, because I didn't need them yet, I move on to the second island, only to find out that water Temtem are pretty important here, bucko. But fuck you, you can't take the ship back. Remember whenever you could go to Dewford, Slateport, or back to Mr. Pico's house? That shit was smooth. You could do what you needed to, and go back where you were from, in case you needed to do something else. Or go on ahead to train up for the previous thing. But no, they ruined that. They fucked that up. They made it to where I was stuck, extremely under-leveled, because I'd beaten this up to this point without, grinding too hard, because it's really annoying. It's annoying to grind, because Wild Temtem, even if they're 5 levels under you, can kick your ass still. So it's annoying to grind. So you try to avoid it and just do player battles like the game recommends. It's like, oh yeah, don't do wild battles all too much, because you won't get as much XP unless they're around your same level. But the leveling is like a goddamn staircase. It's not a smooth slope. It's like, oh, you're facing off against like 10 of these weak guys, and then all of a sudden it's like, fuck you, everyone's stronger than you suddenly. Even though you've been playing the game like the developer recommended. I get bored easily. I don't like grinding unless it's in an emulator and I can speed it up. In which case, that's fine. I don't have a problem with that. But with this, it's just so grating. It's just frustrating. You know what I mean? But, let's see. My last, 4 hours... At one point, I was getting my ass handed to me by the second island gym leader, and I went to actually go grind on the grass. And for about 5 to 10 minutes, not a single Temtem showed up to attack me. 5 to 10 minutes of me hunting down something to grind with and not being able to. And do you know how I beat that gym leader, even though I was underleveled and literally unable to grind? I spent 4,500 fucking Temtem dollars just to buy healing items so I could beat him. So I barely did, even after spending all that money. I used all the healing items I just bought. And then he gives me freaking 700 Temtem dollars. And everyone's gonna be like, oh, it's like the solar dollar or whatever. I vaguely remember what it's called. I'm not looking it up again. The game doesn't even specifically say very often. I'm not gonna bother. I haven't played it in like a week or two. I've been really busy with school. But it was just really annoying. And then at that point, I realized the side quests were so far away from where it was. It just felt like more content just kind of thrown on there for time. Since, you know, they're publishing an unfinished game and selling it for almost $40, you know, like Platinum, one of the, in my personal opinion, one of the better Pokemon games, due to all its content, its great, you know, champion, that kind of thing. I'm a big fan of early gen pass. I'm a big fan of like 3 through 5, basically. But most of the good things I have to say are just like, oh, that was a really cool concept. Too bad you failed. Or, oh, side quests are really awesome. Too bad they're just retracing your goddamn steps for fucking salt. I had to... Oh my god, that one pissed me off. So whenever you had to go save the dojo leader from Queen Bitch or whatever, you go, and on the way there, you meet this lady who's like, oh man, I haven't got my salt order. Oh, woohoo. And, you know... So she's like, oh, I have this link up at this place that you also have other, like, side quests that you might as well, and a little main quest. So you might as well go there. So I go all the way over there. I hunt this guy down after doing the other things I had to do. It took me like 5-10 minutes to find him. No big deal. And I get the salt from him. I go all the way back to her, and she just gives me the standard aroma stuff to prevent being attacked by Temtem. It's just like a normal repel. And the funny part was, I kept the salt after I gave it to her. It was still in my inventory, so of course I sold it. But it was just a weird thing. It was just to go all that way just to get a standard item that I hadn't even wanted to use in the first place. What else? I already said that disclaimer. A lot of this felt like too scripted, so that's why I'm going more off the cuff with it, but I still like to have these bullet points. There are not enough Temtems. Another issue. Not enough Temtems. Still in progress. I get that. But boy, oh boy, does it get boring seeing the same fuckers for like 6 hours. Just same little pieces of shit, kicking the shit out of them. I felt like I was committing genocide. I felt like RT Game trying to get a shiny Wooloo. It was annoying. Very annoying. What else? I never felt like I had to catch a specific Temtem until it was too late. Like, at no point in time did I feel like any of them were better than any other ones, or that there was any particular reason why I had to catch one outside of, like... I mean, it's good to have different types, so I guess I'll get this one. Constantly having to heal. Level system is a goddamn staircase. I already went over these. So, the gameplay is really spread out, but also really linear. And whenever I say that, it sounds really stupid, right? Like, really dumb. And my audio randomly gets echoey. It's because I'm standing halfway in my closet, halfway out. Because I don't know how to record. I should have set, like, a chair up in here or something. But there's not a lot of room in my college dorm closet. So, I'll have to figure something out for that in the future. And also, I'm not going to do voice recordings for, like, video game videos in my closet. It's more of, like, commentary type stuff. So, that's a thing. It just feels like leveling isn't as easy as it should be for the creatures you fight and how hard it is to defeat them sometimes. It's not terribly hard, you know, you can beat any game by overly grinding. The only consequence is your sanity and the time you waste. It's not like a game where it's like, oh, there's a cost to overly grinding. oh man, there's consequences, ooey. No, there aren't. There aren't. None of it. It's just Pokemon with a different color of paint. But instead of, like, you know, the recycled paint that Pokemon uses, it's a shinier paint. It's a different type. It's a different brand of paint. That's what Temtem is. It's a different brand of Pokemon. That's it. There's not enough deviation. They didn't make it their own, and that's so frustrating to me. Because I bought it after, like, watching a few reviews on it. I looked it up. There was, like, one negative review. When I bought the game, there was one negative review on YouTube. And that was it. And it made me think this game was amazing. It made me think this game was going to be a really good time, and I could push through it. I've played the same Pokemon game like 10 times through, and I don't know if my attention span's gotten better or worse throughout time, but I'd assume as an adult it would get better. So the fact that after about 8 to 10 hours, I got bored and quit out of frustration kind of gives you an indication of just how samey this whole game felt. Evolutions, God, evolving your Pokemon is so annoying. Because instead of like, oh, at a certain level they evolve, it's how many levels you've had them. You have to add like the specific amount of levels you have to have with them, particularly. Which at first that sounds like a cool concept, but it's basically just breeding bait. That way you get really strong creatures as soon as possible by breeding level 1 creatures. So that's a thing, and that's an annoying thing. And they don't feel rewarding. It doesn't feel like it gives them as big of a buff as it does whenever you're playing Pokemon. Like, you know, whenever you get your starter Pokemon to that second level, all of a sudden it starts clapping cheeks for a while, you know? There was never a moment where any of my Temtem could clap cheeks. It didn't happen. The whole game just felt like a slog. It felt too slow. Want to hear some funny things that happened during the launch of Temtem? You know, every game has issues with servers, right? But how many games break their entire economy within the first week? I don't know of any, but Temtem is one of them. Due to the way they did breeding and breeding items, they completely fucked their system up. People took advantage of other people who took advantage of other people, and it was just chaos, and they boosted all the prices of the breeding items in the shops. They boosted the price of a lot of items in the shops, and they refuse to reset at all. Like, they will not set back anything because they're afraid they'll piss off the people who spend a bunch of time, even though it'd probably fix a lot of things if they just reset some stuff. But they're not going to do that. Oh, want to know what you can do whenever you beat the game? Well, beat in quotes because it's not done yet. The only way to make money is to catch and release Temtem for this PETA group. It's basically like, oh, we're a freedom group for Temtem. Don't you ever think about the abuse of Temtem? There's a lot of social justice references, which, you know, that's fine. I don't care. It doesn't matter. But how does that make sense? Why am I getting paid to catch and release? It's not like people can... Literally the only way to make money at the end of the game is to catch and release Temtem because they fucked up the economy and made it to where rare and high SV Temtems are worthless. So that's really cool. The market's flooded with them. There's no point in buying them. They broke it. So that's cool. But how does that make sense? PETA doesn't pay you to, I don't know, get a dog from the woods and then release it again. That's dumb. It's a dumb example, but like, you get what I mean. I wouldn't have those Temtem in the first place if I didn't catch them just to sell them to you. You know what I mean? It doesn't make a lot of sense. It just felt like they were really negligent. And there are times where you just face like a gauntlet of freaking assholes that you have to slowly go back and heal, and then come back and they're still there. It's like, I kicked your ass. I've been like 20 minutes. Why are you still here? I really don't have a lot else to say other than that. There are a lot of good things about Temtem, and I'm glad the company gave it a try. But obviously, they did not know what they were doing when they started it. The people in charge were not big enough Pokemon fans, and that is a crying shame. But overall, it's not a terrible game, but it's not a good one. I would say it is a mediocre game and a bit overpriced for how good it is. You're gonna get bored. And the only reason why you're not gonna get bored is because you're so pissed off at Pokemon. And that's about it. I made it about 10 hours through, an hour of which was just to record gameplay for this video for in the background. During this video, I probably showed you me trying to grind for an extensive amount of time and not being able to find anything. I'll play that at 1x speed just so you can see how... just so you can...